Is Peter Parker slowly but surely losing his mind, and if so, why? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3 and find out the answer to this and other questions together, shall we? So then, as we join this issue, we are treated to yet another flashback from Peter's brief but memorable bad boy phase. I'm talking wearing a jacket with patches on it bad boy phase. Geez, Joe Kelly, I don't know what you're talking about. I wear a battle vest out every day and I'm wholesome as pie. Well, okay, it's actually Uncle Ben's army jacket and he did it without asking, and also this entire memory is being tainted by the psychoactive drugs that Spider-Man was dosed with in the previous issue, which, as you might guess, actually makes battling the returning Itsybitsy that much more difficult for the wall crawler. In a funny bit of characterization, the book remembers that Susan Mary's origin actually involved her being a drug user, and now that she sees Spider-Man, basically one half of her clone father's completely tripping balls. And she's actually very disappointed about it, so much to the point she is going to talk about it at length. Now, Spider-Man unfortunately can't do much to defend himself or Itsybitsy's target, the Rhino, the only person who might actually have some clues as to what the hell is actually going on here. Poor Peter ends up passing out due to all the drugs circulating in his veins, though luckily, because Itsybitsy is half Deadpool, she's thankfully come down with a case of the lol randoms, mainly that after the security at Ravencroft chased her off, she decided to take Spider-Man up to a tall bridge and talk at him some more instead of kill him. She talks about her mysterious new benefactor that she's working for, who doesn't have a lot of faith in her and her abilities, not that she is really doing much. To prove him wrong at this moment, she also makes a point of taking a pass at Spider-Man too, because hey, isn't that wacky and random? I'm basically your clone daughter, before pushing him in the river. You know, I'm certainly happy they're using brand new Spider-Man villains instead of recycling the old ones over and over again, but I don't know if I'm a fan of Itsybitsy. Was she better in her debut? If so, tell me. Now, thankfully, the next part of the issue I actually like a lot. Peter is able to pull himself out of the water and even steal some clothes from a line. He looks like absolute hell and has been taking both a mental and physical shit-kicking all day. Thankfully, he's nice and close to Aunt May's apartment where he can lay low until the heat's off. Unfortunately for him, in a classic case of Parker luck, it's that very night Aunt May just so happens to be holding a big meeting of all the important folks at Feast. And now her nephew embarrasses her in front of everyone, rolling up looking like an absolute junkie. In fact, one of the other Feast people even says, "Wait, is your nephew a client of ours, May?" Now that's just a good setup for drama, but it actually ends up getting even better as Peter, rolling up the way he is now, completely falling apart, gives May really uncomfortable flashbacks to Peter's youth during his rebellious era, which just so happened to also be at the same time when he was friends with, you guessed it, Brian Nearing, the same guy who got Peter a job at Rand, the guy that Aunt May never liked to begin with, meaning that basically all of her worst fears of them reconnecting have come to pass. In fact, it gets even worse because when Aunt May goes to check on Peter the next morning, he's already run off to go and talk with Norman about his next move. You see, during their fight, Itsybitsy let it slip that she poisoned Peter, but never actually poisoned the Rhino. He accidentally dosed himself by drinking a bunch of laced soda that Peter only made the connection about right now. Now, the good news is our hero has a lead. The bad news is Norman can't actually do anything for Peter when it comes to the hallucinations. The drugs pumping through his system still haven't worked their way out yet. And it seems that if Spider-Man wants to get anything done, he's just gonna have to embrace the madness and take this trip to the very end. Hell, Norman even gets in a pretty good one-liner too, saying, "Hey, I did all my work well out of my goddamn mind. How hard should it be for you?" This scene even offers up a fun little bit of meta commentary here by saying what's sadder, the fact that Peter has no other friends or allies he can confide in about his work as Spider-Man other than Norman, or the fact that Norman literally has nothing else going on in his life right now, that he is perfectly fine with being Peter's brand new man in the chair, right down to running down all the leads involving this new soda company. Again, I'll let you all decide in the comments section. Now, speaking of Brian and Peter decided to try and tap his particular brand of expertise. In the last issue, we learned that Brian is something of an expert on magic mushrooms, and as such, Peter gives him a sample to run. This also kind of ends up serving as a nice cover, too, for Peter's double life as Spider-Man, saying that the reason he has been so sweaty, so absent from work, is that he's afraid he's been dosed. You know, not a bad employee, just someone who ended up taking a bad hit. Now, eventually, with Norman's help, Spider-Man is able to track down the bottling facility where this strange soda's being made, and at first glance it seems absolutely normal, a bottling plant making soda and energy drinks. Expensive ass water, you name it. Certainly not a front for a drug lab, but here's the thing, Spider-Man's not the only one who's actually interested in this place right now, as he ends up getting ambushed by the Hobgoblin, who once again manages to take advantage of Spider-Man's mental fog. Here's the thing though, we saw Roderick Kingsley early on in this series, but with the wings and the flaming sword, this looks like Phil Urich's Hobgoblin costume. Is it actually Phil back again? Or has Roderick just decided to steal one of the other goblins? Look, I don't know as the comic comes to a close, but I guess we'll find out next time. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 3, everybody, and once again, this Joe Kelly series continues to be consistent in its quality. Not the best, not life-changing, but so far so good. I don't feel angry or cheated reading this series for a change, which is, pretty nice as far as improvements go. Now, in the last video, I said I wasn't totally convinced by this whole secret, untold bad boy era of young Peter Parker's life, but I think I am slowly but surely starting to turn around on it, if only for what this issue actually does with Aunt May as a character. She's seen Peter through a lot and supported him every step of the way, yet the one time she actually felt like maybe she couldn't support her nephew because she actively didn't like the person he was becoming was when he was hanging out with Brian, and now that he's showing up to her doorstep looking high off goofballs, I'm actually really invested to see how it's going to impact their relationship. By the end, I wasn't a huge fan of 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, but I will give Joe Kelly and this creative team credit because they are actually finding time for Spider-Man's supporting cast to actually do stuff. It was true in that short series, and it's true again here as well. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one a 7 out of 10. It's probably not as strong as the 2 issues that preceded it, but again, consistency goes a long way. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.